not even a 200-second Buteyko method pause cleared my nose until I got this root canal out.
So tell me about the root canal.
All right. Well, the root canal, I got it when I was 11. I didn't really think anything of it at the time because I'm only 11 years old. I just put my forehead into someone's forehead and ended up with a wobbly tooth. I watched the movie in February called The Root Cause, and I thought, oh, righto. And then I watched some other movie called like how the mind could heal the body, and I got like distracted down this whole like visualization path and shit, thinking that I'm gonna just like visualize my way to a recovery. Originally, when I started the Buteyko method, my control pause was 11 seconds. And then by the time I got to start with Christopher, my control pause was about 15 seconds at the first day of the workshop with him. The second day, it went up to like 24. And then from then on, it dropped to like 22 and stayed there for probably about 2 months. Maybe 1 week, it was 27 seconds for 1 week. And then it was just low 20s until I got my root canal out.
Okay. So did you notice any improvement to your symptoms despite your 22 control pause?
Oh, I was just cleansing all the time. I don't even remember going, oh, damn, this is such a relief. Like, I remember just doing maximum pause and be like, oh, you're going to hell. That's what it was like. I got some relief for 1 week and I went and did a massive bike ride because I thought, oh, I'm feeling good this week. And then Christopher told everyone in the advanced group how I just got like this massive cleansing reaction from it. And from then on until I got my root canal out, I never had a really great day, you know. I got it pulled out and my CP was around 24 seconds, 23 when it got pulled out. And I thought, all right, that's good. Once this is out, you know, I'll be up to 60 within a week. Oh no, what a load of rubbish. No, didn't go up. It didn't even budge from 24, 25 for at least a month since I got the extraction. And it was probably 5 weeks after that I noticed any improvement and my CP started going up. I was a lot more relaxed, a lot more calm. My sinus infection completely went away, completely. Every now and then I still get a little cleanse up in there or a little bloodshot eye, but it's nothing serious anymore. All this throat here, there's no mucus going down here at all anymore. I'm not choking on gunk all day. And I know this might sound funny too, but I can turn my left glute on. I can feel my muscles on my left side. So there's obviously something interrupting the meridian there because I couldn't actually feel, like if I did a squat and pushed up, I couldn't feel my left butt cheek turning on, my left glute, or if I squeezed my left bicep, I couldn't feel it. It's an energy block there. Yeah. And now I can feel that.
So what's your control pause now?
I'd say it's about 32 seconds. What I'd say now is like, I don't feel I'm ready to be in the Olympics or something like that, but it's only been like, I don't know, 4 months since I've been practicing and only 1.5 months since I got my root canal out. Yeah, 1.5 months. But I would say consistently, I feel good. I don't feel like I have chronic fatigue anymore all the time. I get a little bit of brain fog, a little bit here and there. I clear it with a few pauses, but I don't feel like I'm ready to, you know, run a massive race yet. But I can just pot through life now with no problems like a grazing cow in a paddock, you know. Very slow, very smooth, but I'm not always thinking, oh, I feel so shit. I don't have as much happiness, but I don't have any sadness anyway. So it's okay. Yeah, it's just a neutral feeling and that's good. I don't care about wanting to feel happy. It's good.
Hello, Martha.
Hi, Irene.
Hi. I would like today to discuss about Dr. Buteyko's view on dead teeth and particularly about root canals.
Mm-hmm.
About how is this affecting the control pose? What's your experience on that? And what's your personal experience?
Okay. Well, there are various obstacles to getting the results with this method. And, you know, as a team, we've got a lot of experience of helping students with such obstacles. And we're always looking to see how well the pauses are growing, the maximum pause, and then how the control pause follows. And sometimes a student arrives and the control pause doesn't follow. It gets to a certain point,
Yes.
and it won't go above 20, or in some cases, it just won't go above 30. So we know there's an obstacle. And there were two types of obstacle. One is focal infection, and dead teeth come into this category, focal infection. The other obstacle is just general toxicity that builds up, and it just takes time for the toxicity to discharge. In the case of dead teeth, that means that the nerve has died, and there's very likely to be a buildup of infection in the actual gum cavity. And what happens is you do your maximum pauses, you get your CO2 level up, and this pool of infection is it's like a black hole. It just uses up all the CO2, and it just gets worse and worse. The infection underneath the tooth gets worse and worse. Now, some people get some sort of eruption in the gum. Many people get nothing.
So
when
they
it's
don't know that they have the problem.
That's right. It all seems like everything's fine in their mouth. And so when there's an eruption, of course, it makes more sense to a student. But then sometimes there isn't, and we need to actually check whether a student's got a dead tooth in there or not. And, you know, we've got this pencil test. We ask people to go around with a pencil and crunch the teeth round and round. And if there's no feeling in a tooth, then we know that the nerve has died and the tooth is therefore dead. And it's very likely there's infection. And so then there's no option. That tooth has to be removed. Some students who come have had a dead tooth already, and the dentist has put in a procedure to fill the gum called a root canal. And some material is put into the gum, and that holds a tooth, but it has no nerve. And the thing is it depends on the person. In my case, I had 2 root canals put in after having discovered I got 2 teeth that were dying. When I learned this method, 2 teeth were dying, and this infection came to the surface. And so I had to have the teeth out because they were just not viable. And when the dentist took the teeth out, there was a huge amount of infection underneath. I think he was quite surprised. And he offered me a root canal procedure. And he said it would work. He said that he'd got this procedure, he was using the latest technology, that he would clean the cavity with ozone, and that it would work. So I go back to Christopher and say that I've been offered the root canal. He says it's not a good idea. According to Bouteka, that is still a dead tooth. Not a good idea. Well, I didn't like that, so I decided to go ahead anyway. And, you know, it coincided with getting an insurance from Tesco's who funded it. So I had the money to do it. So one thing led to another. And of course, Christopher didn't disagree. He just let me do it. I had the 2 root canals put in. At the time, I had a control pause of 45, 50, sometimes 55. And 3 years later, my symptoms started to get worse. I had aching shoulders, muscles pain. My control pauses dropped to 25.
So for 3 years, it started slowly.
Yeah, for 3 years it was fine, and my control pause gradually wended its way down. And then once it got below 30, I started to feel fatigued.
Mm.
And I said to Christopher, I got to get the root canals out. So I go to the dentist. He wasn't happy about it. He wanted me to do a test, and he said he'd got to go to another dentist to get the test because his supplier had run out or just wasn't supplying anymore these particular tests. And time went on and on and on. And after a year, he got the test. Did the test, 93% bacterial activity. So it was clear they needed to come out according to the dentist. And so he then went ahead and did the procedure. And he was staggered at the amount of muck underneath. It was really quite astonishing. The cavity smelt really bad. And so he sewed me up and so on. And I went away and thought, that's it, and it wasn't. Control pause didn't go up. And I still had symptoms, which was a bit mystifying.
Yes.
And so I didn't know. I mean, it hadn't. So I thought, well, then there must still be some more infection in there. It hasn't all been cleared out.
Mm.
Took me another 6 to 9 months to find another dentist who checked it out, could see the bacterial activity still in my gum, showed it on the x-ray. He had some sort of live x-ray or scan that he was using at the time. And he explained that the tissue was deformed in the gum. 2 different ways it was deformed. He explained when he put the scalpel in, it was just like foam. There was nothing there. There was no material. He opened it up. He cleaned it out again. And this time he took out the interdontal ligaments. And he said, because the ligaments hadn't been removed, the immune system didn't pick up the signal that that area needed to be cleaned up. So it didn't heal properly.
Mm-hmm.
So he cleaned both cavities out again, sewed me up. I then said to him, perhaps I better come back in a few weeks' time, check it out. He said, no, you'll be fine. It'll work this time. He was quite confident, and he was correct. My control pause went up immediately.
Wow.
And symptoms went away. I mean, it took a while to get the control pause up high again, but over time it improved with further practice. So that was my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen many students since, they come and control pause won't go up. Some students get as far as in 25 seconds, 28 seconds. It can't actually reach that 30 mark, or if they actually reach the 30 mark, it doesn't hold, it goes back. Mm-hmm. And other students have a lot of aching in their arms and legs, and they can't get the control pause past 20. That's what I've seen so far.
That's happened some days ago. That happened exactly that. 3 months he tried to raise his control pause. He couldn't.
No, and his practice was good. It was persistent.
Yes.
Big maximum pauses, and as he did it, it felt worse. He didn't feel any better. So that's a scenario I've seen a few times.
Mm-hmm.
The other scenario I've seen is people who've got breathing problems. Is they do the maximum pauses and they feel more and more breathless, and they wake up in the night feeling breathless. And when they get the root canal removed, it all goes away and the control pause goes up. So you can see that the CO2 goes in, but it gets used up somehow. It's like you've got persistent manufacturing of bacterial activity, of toxicity, and clearing that out from that root cavity is all the immune system can do, and all the CO2 gets used up and you get breathless as a result.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so we've got a number of students that have given testimonies to that fact.
Yes.
And then there's your case.
Yes, I had an experience of root canal since I was a child, because I broke my 2 teeth doing bicycle, and trying to go down some stairs, and I broke my teeth. And after that, by mistake, they gave me root canals in the teeth beside them. So I had this issue from childhood, and I tried to clean them, and I had different operations in the roots, and the pus still came out, and it was a big adventure, not a good one. And I tried to keep the teeth because the dentist assured me that you should keep the roots and we will clean them, and we have a technology to clean them with different kind of substances to get into the root and be sure that there are no bacteria there. So I did this procedure also, and after that I'm going to a classical surgeon for this area, for the mandible and the mouth area. And he saw the x-rays and he told me these root canals have eaten these bacteria that they were inside, have eaten all your bone here. What are you trying to do? So it was quite dramatic when I heard it, and he told me that they could not be saved anyway. So I did 2 operations to start having some graft here of bone. And the amazing thing about the method was that I tried to also to go above 13. I couldn't stay there. I tried, but I could not stay. And when I did the first procedure, the first operation, and the big amount of pus and all this bacteria went out and got in through my system, I was like sick. I had fever and complete fatigue. I could not even move for 3 days around. So the toxicity was huge, but after that I felt better and better, and really my control pose much more easily went up. And the last years I needed to have some new root canals because the dentist told me that you must have them, blah, blah, blah. And I did. With those, I haven't seen some dramatic effect yet, but I'm on the procedure of taking care of them and considering how my body will react to them. I mean, it's not an easy way, neither to advise some people about that, nor to have it as an experience. But sometimes it's necessary to clear the area.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you actually had the root canals taken out, didn't you?
I had all the teeth, yes, everything out. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is a bridge, not bridge, implant.
It's an implant. Okay.
2 implants. Here. Yes.
And what happened to your control pause?
After I removed this, it went up. Yes.
Because that's the thing, is as soon as the problem gets sorted out, the control pause goes up.
Yes.
And I've seen it a number of times.
Yes.
And we're seeing it more and more as time goes on. It wasn't very common when I first started training as a practitioner, but now it's becoming more and more of a problem as more and more people are having root canals.
Yes.
I mean, there's definite benefit in more CO2. Doesn't matter what your situation is. But if there's this constant truckload of complaints and symptoms and, you know, carrying on and on and on, and the control pause doesn't shift, well, we know there's some focal infection somewhere.
Right.
And the first place to go is the mouth. And yeah, I mean,
that's it.
That's it. That's the news.
That's the news, yes.
I've been doing the practices every day. End of July, I had the root canals taken out. Before that, I was doing the breathing, and it seems like I was not improving. I got to the point where I couldn't even move. My breathing was so bad. But after that, I've been doing the breathing practices 3 times a day. Seems like every time I have any kind of, you know, like a feeling like breathing is just slightly off, I go do those breath holds and it just all goes away. I started the beginner workshop, And I learned everything, the pauses and the practices. So I did those every day. I started improving. I was at 13 or somewhere, fluctuating in that area, below and above. I think it was the first couple of weeks when I was doing the practice, I started improving, get better. And then I had a really good day. And then things started to crash. I continued doing the practices. I stopped taking the medication at some point, the inhalers too. So I wasn't taking anything. But I got to some point where a couple of weeks passed and I wasn't improving over the next couple of weeks. And then I was like wondering, a whole month went by, even longer. I think it was 5 weeks. And then you came on the phone with a courtesy call. And then you asked me if I had root canals. And I said, yeah, so what? You know, what's that have to do with anything? And then you told me to get them taken out. So somehow within a week, I was able to get an appointment to have that done. And that's when it was almost sudden that the breathing improved. My pauses went up to low 20s. It went down a little bit for a few days, but I think I took a break from doing the breathing exercises after that because I was in such trauma from not even be able to go up and down stairs or do anything. So after a couple of days, and I started doing the breathing exercises, my pauses started going up. It hovered in the low 20s. There was no asthma symptoms. I didn't need any emergency inhaler or anything.
You had the breathlessness, didn't you?
Yeah, I had breathlessness very, very bad before the root canals. And it was like every time I did the breathing exercise, I would feel a little bit better and then bad. It was like they were doing something to my body that was counteracting. It was kind of like somebody changing the tire and then somebody's there hitting you over the head with a wrench, pulling it out of your hand every time you're trying to change a tire. And so you start getting somewhere and then you don't get anywhere. So that's what the root canals were doing to me. It was like the wrench hitting me over the head. I think I was stuck in the low 20s for a couple of weeks, 22, 29, but I just kept up with the breathing exercises. And then I started doing more, like whenever I go out for walks, I'll just do those breath holds. So I do a lot of those throughout the day. And now jumped up to like 28. I go by the morning when I wake up. It's been staying at around 28 and 30. I feel like I could go running, but I wouldn't dare yet because I want to make sure, I just want to make sure I'm consistent for a long time in that range, 30 around there. I walk fast every day. It seems like the breath holds work every time as far as making my breathing more free and feel better. I can talk and walk no problem. Before I couldn't even walk, let alone talk at the same time. So yeah, everything's like got my life back again. As far as doing the breathing practice, any inconvenience that is nothing compared to the rewards you get from it. So I hope I can give you another testimonial or whatever as time goes by, let you know as my pauses increase, which they're doing now. It seems like the breath holds work every time.